These are our practice problems for Chapter 6, Lesson 6. And to start Chapter 6, Lesson 6, I want to talk to you about inequalities. With inequalities, we do not get exactly one correct answer. We actually get infinite amounts of correct answers. And our answers, our solutions are going to end up looking like this. X is greater than 6. Now, if I asked you to think of a number greater than 6, I bet you could think of dozens of numbers greater than 6. So that means that any number greater than 6 is part of our solution here. So what we do is we graph our solution. We graph our answer on a number line. So you'll notice this is number 1 on page 2 of your note packet. I have provided you with a number line. You have to number it. I would number it similar to the way that I numbered it here. And we're going to see how to graph the solution x is greater than 6. So if you need to pause the video just to number your number line, go ahead and do that. Unpause it when you're ready to go. If I want to graph the solution x is greater than 6, I want to begin with a circle on my number line at 6. It's an open circle because that circle tells me that every number except 6 can be part of our solution. Then we shade, to the right because those numbers are greater than 6. So my graph should look like this, an open circle around 6 because 6 is not actually part of the solution, but every number greater than it is. That's our graph. Take a look at number 3 here. Number 3, we have graph 8 is less than or equal to h. I'm going to tell you something. This gets tricky if the variable is not first. So we do something that I like to call the flip, flip, flip. We flip the h so that it is on the left-hand side. We flip the 8 to put it on the right-hand side. And then we have to flip our inequality symbol. Flipping less than or equal to means that now it becomes greater than or equal to. That makes it easier for us to shade on the number line because now we can just shade in the direction of the arrow. I didn't really point that out last time, but I want to point it out to you now. Shading greater than means that we're shading to the right of our number. Shading less than means we're shading to the left of our number, and it's all because of the way the arrow points. It's pointing to those numbers greater than 6. In this case, it'll be pointing to the numbers greater than 8. Okay? In this case, it was pointing to the left, and that was before we did our flip, flip, flip. So if we had shaded in the direction of the arrow, we would have actually shaded this one wrong. So we did our flip, flip, flip. H is greater than or equal to 8. Here's my number line. I'm going to start at the 8. This time I'm going to shade in my circle on the 8 because 8 is part of my solution. And again, I'm going to shade to the right because I'm shading greater than. And I'm shading an arrow. That shows me that every number 8 or bigger could be part of that solution. In your notes, this is a very important note. We use an open circle to graph greater than and less than because the number that we're putting the circle over is not actually part of the solution. We use a closed or a shaded circle to graph greater than or equal to and less than or equal to because when we have that equal to component, now the number that we have circled is actually part of our solution as well. Let's see a practice problem here. We have an inequality that we are ready to solve, and remember, we solve these just like we solved our equations, so I'm going to set up my train tracks here. So we have 9 plus m is equal to 15. This is like one of the easy equations we started with a couple weeks ago. We want to isolate the m, so to do that, we're going to subtract 9 to get rid of it. We are going to balance that out on the other side because we balance our equations. We also balance our inequalities. We're left with 1m on the left side is greater than 15 minus 9 is positive 6 on the right side. So our solution is m is greater than 6. That tells me that any number greater than 6 can be substituted here for m, and it would make that statement true. So think of a number greater than 6. I'm going to go with 7. 9 plus 7 is 16. 16 is greater than 15. Think of another number greater than m, or greater than 6. 10. 9 plus 10 is 19. That is also greater than 15. So any number greater than 6 makes our inequality true. Remember, this is a greater than, not a greater than or equal to, so I'm going to leave an open circle there, and I'm going to shade to the right because my arrow points to the right. Those are the numbers greater than 6. Last one I want to look at with you, this is number 7. Now we're talking about a word problem. It says, Elena and Mark decided to combine their money. Combine is an addition word. They're going to combine their money to buy a new dishwasher. If Elena contributes $180, what is the minimum amount that Mark must contribute to buy the dishwasher? So the first thing I'm thinking about is we are combining Elena's money with Mark's money. So Elena is giving 180. Mark is giving some other amount. I'm just going to call that M. And when they add their money together, they need a minimum of $350. I didn't include that in the problem here, but it is in your paper. So they need a minimum of $350. So minimum, if I go back to my previous slide here, I can see that minimum is a number that means greater than, or a word that means greater than or equal to. So I'm going to use my greater than or equal to sign when I write this inequality. And they need a total that is greater than or equal to $350. Now, if you think about this, that should make sense. The money that they pool together has to be $350 or maybe more than $350 in order to buy that dishwasher. They can't have less or they won't be able to afford it. Okay, so there's my inequality. I'm going to bring in my train tracks. I have to isolate the variable, so I'm going to subtract 180 from each side. Subtract 180 over here. I get M is greater than or equal to $170. So I'm going to graph this. You'll have to number your number line. 170 is my number, and it is greater than or equal to, so I can shade in my circle. Then greater than points to the right, so that means I'm going to shade to the right down my number line to show that any amount bigger than 170 can be contributed by Mark. Okay, that is your video for today. Here's your assignment. I do want you to go back to numbers 2 and 4 and graph them. Practice graphing them. I'm going to warn you, number 4, you're going to have to do the flip, flip, flip to get the variable on the left-hand side. I want you to solve and graph number 6. Again, you'll have to do the flip, flip, flip to get your variable on the left. That will help you do your shading. And then I want you to write your own word problem for number 8. They're giving you an equation, 12 plus g is less than 35. Think about a word problem that could be solved using that inequality. When you're finished, do your Google form, and you are finished.